Hello, people. Hi. This is Priyanka Dasnayaka, and today we thought of sharing a little bit about emotional intelligence and also give you an overview of a program that we're planning to do in the month of October. Now, emotional intelligence is a topic that's widely understood by quite a few people. A lot of people are aware of it historically, and I think people do understand the value of emotional intelligence. People understand how it's having impact both at work as well as at personal life, and specifically the impact EQ or emotional intelligence, mastering emotional intelligence is having on workers to improve their interpersonal skills and ability to perform at a higher level. Given people are aware of this background, what we also find talking to people is the fact that a lot of people, although they're aware of the importance of emotional intelligence, and B, although they understand the concept of emotional intelligence at a higher level, they always struggle when it comes to getting the people to master this concept. That's a very valid question. Now, what we're trying to do here at this organization is we're trying to bridge that gap. We're trying to bridge that gap from concept to practice. Now, before getting into practice, let's get one aspect clear. Let's again revisit this whole definition of emotional intelligence. Now, I know there are multiple definitions that's out there from very respected authors such as Daniel Goleman, Travis Bradbury, and quite a few others. I'd like to give you a overview that kind of combines quite a few of these. In a nutshell, emotional intelligence is about what we call social competency and personal competency. What does that mean? Personal competency means it's about recognizing that the changes that you go through in terms of your emotions on a moment by moment, minute by minute basis, on regular basis. After identifying, recognizing these changes, it's really about understanding them in depth. Now, at any given point in time, if I ask you, how do you feel? That's a representation of your emotions. You and I both know during the course of the day, we all go through different moods, different states of emotions. This is really about trying to, recognize that, the fact that, how do I feel at a particular point in time? That's what we call self-awareness. Now, second aspect of this in personal competency is once you're self-aware, once you're aware of how what's happening to you, you go on to manage that whole process. You manage it in a way that's going to be to your advantage. So how do you move from self-awareness to self-management? That's the second aspect. Now, the second competency we talked about was social competency. Now, in social competency, it's really about social awareness. It's really about understanding another person's emotions, understanding mood in the room, so to speak, so that when you walk into a place, you're able to grasp how people feel, because their moods matter when it comes to dealing with people. And once you're aware of another person's emotions or another group's emotions, then what do you do to enhance those relationships? How do you manage those relationships? That happens in a environment where they're in a particular state of emotions. So that's the second aspect to it. So we've got the personal competence focusing on self-awareness and self-management, and B, we have social competency, which is really about understanding the moods of your audience or a particular person, and then how do you basically use that knowledge to manage a relationship for the positive. So that's essentially what emotional intelligence is all about. I believe out there people are quite aware of this fact. I think at a conceptual level, a lot of people have read the likes of Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, Working with Emotional Intelligence. They're fully aware of this. But really what we find and what we hear from people is that there's a great struggle when it comes to really putting this into practice. Concept is fine, but how do you really put that into practice? Let's take a few examples. I think everybody understands self-awareness. I think we all understand the importance of being self-aware. But if you ask somebody to be self-aware, they always struggle to figure out, how do I become more self-aware? I know I need to become more self-aware, but the question is, are there specific strategies that one can follow in a systematic way that's going to improve your self-awareness? But those are the sort of things that we're going to talk about as part of our program. So how do you improve your self-awareness? Number two, once you're self-aware, you need to manage yourself. So how do you manage yourself? Again, it's easy to say, okay, get a grip, don't react, but respond. Easy for me to say that as part of a training. But question is, are there specific strategies one can adopt, one can use to improve self-management? Similarly, empathy, I think, is one of the most misused words in the corporate sector. We always talk about empathizing, improving empathy, people having empathy, and typically when you ask a person what's empathy, they'll tell you it's really about it's about understanding another person's point of view, or they'll say it's about getting into another person's shoe. Well, easier said than done again. So how do you develop empathy in a person? So this is where again we bring in the concepts from neurolinguistic programming, concepts such as model of the world, to help people understand another person's perspective a little bit more in depth. Like Stephen Covey said in his third habit, first seek to understand and then be understood. So we practically take people through this process of developing a social awareness. Once you're aware of the social aspect of it, then the question is, how do you manage relationships? Relationship management is a key, and what are some of the strategies that's going to help you to manage the relationships better? Well, this is essentially what we're trying to do as part of this program, because we believe it's time that we take this very important, very critical topic of emotional intelligence, understanding emotional intelligence from concept to practice. And we start this whole program by sharing with you, or rather taking you all through the most widely used online emotional intelligence assessment in the world, where over 1 million people have taken this assessment. It has the largest database. So we're going to take you through that. It's not going to take long. It's going to take about a good 10 minutes maximum. At the end of it, it's going to generate a report that's going to specifically tell you your scores when it comes to each aspect of emotional intelligence. That's what's your self-awareness score, what's your self-management score, what's your social awareness score, and what's your relationship management score. Obviously, this is based on the responses that you can give to this assessment. It's very much like any other personality assessment. So as long as you're true to yourself and you truly answer those questions, it's going to reflect your emotional intelligence scores or your state. Armed with that knowledge, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to focus on the area that you need to improve immediately. So typically the lowest area where you score lowest, we'd like to start there first. And what we do is we also share with you the original hardbound book of this assessment that's going to teach you the strategies that you need to adopt. Now, it's not just merely sharing the book with you, but we're going to walk you through some of the strategies in general in all 4 areas, so that each of you know where to focus and also get a broader understanding on the other aspects as well. So this is essentially what we're trying to do with the emotional intelligence from concept to practice program. Remember, the date is 14th October. That's a Wednesday. We're starting at 8:30 in the morning, sharp 8:30 we're starting, so the registrations will be on from 8 o'clock. So make sure that you be there on time, because it's going to be a high impact, detailed program. So we need every minute that we can bring on board to the program. Again, we're organizing this at Girls Friendly Societies in order to keep the costs low, so that more and more people are able to access this program. We're not going to do it at a hotel, obviously, because the costs are going to go up, and certainly some people will able to afford it, but there are quite a few who are not able to afford it. Program is a little expensive compared to a typical one-day program that you'll see in the market. That's because we get this online test done. That's going to cost us money. At the same time, we're giving you this original book from the author himself. So because of these reasons, we have to price it a little higher. So, but having said that, I think knowing emotional intelligence is one of the fundamental things for the success of any individual, both in their personal and specifically in their corporate life. And we truly hope that most of you who are out there will make use of this opportunity to explore your emotional intelligence, to understand the areas that you need to focus on, and then start, getting involved in that journey. And the great thing about this program is, although the program is going to be over within a day, that means on the 14th, those of you who really want to pursue it further do have the option of getting involved in individual coaching. Now, that's a separate exercise altogether, but having said that, we are keeping that option open as well. So any of you who really want to have one-on-one sessions with me, there's always a mechanism to do that, to maybe finalize a plan to improve emotional intelligence, to take another step forward, of course at an additional cost, which we will disclose at the event itself. So guys, looking forward to seeing you on the 14th. I'm truly excited to share this interesting topic with you, and we're getting ready to give you a very impactful program on that day. So looking forward to seeing you, and yep, good luck, and please, you can find the details right below, both our numbers as well as our email addresses. Send in your nominees, lock in the date. See you on the 14th. Thank you.